we're at a peak moment in the history of the world, of society, especially around business. This is the most humans will ever have at companies servicing the customer. There will never be more from this day on.
Elias Torres is the kind of person who speaks in definitives. He's direct, innovative, and future-thinking. These qualities make him a successful founder. What I find especially interesting is how he's building his company. Elias is trying to reach unicorn status with only 100 employees. It's a lofty goal, but considering his track record, it seems possible. He's a HubSpot veteran and sold one of his companies, Drift, to private equity for $1.2 billion. But our conversation covered so much more than just business. We talked about Elias's immigrant story and how that experience shaped his career.
Maybe because I'm an immigrant, maybe because I always took care of my family and my siblings and my mother, and I just I'm a provider by nature. I'm I'll take care of this problem. I'm a wartime CEO.
We covered the American dream and if it's still alive.
I came to the United States trying to conquer the United States. I did it, and now I'm like, the food here is poisonous. No, we're not healthy, too stressful, too much work. And I go back to Nicaragua and it's a paradise.
And we also explored how AI is changing our ideas of what a fulfilling career looks like.
I think that's what it means to be human, right? Is to be authentic, right? To be, I'm doing this because I want to do this.
I'm Rana El-Kalyoubi, and this is Pioneers of AI, a podcast taking you behind the scenes of the AI revolution. Hi, Elias. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited for our conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's going to be fun.
Let's make it fun.
So before we dive into AI, I actually want to start with the human. Okay. This has kind of been my journey, like human-centered AI. And I want to start with one particular human, your mom.
Okay.
You have a podcast on the side, The American Dream, and I was listening to your interview with your mom for Mother's Day, and I just thought it was really heartwarming. My mom has played a huge role in my life as well. We're both immigrants to the United States, so I wanted to start there. Tell us more about your story, how you got here.
Well, I got here because of my grandmother, my mother's mother. Mm-hmm. She came to the United States, crossed the river, El Rio Grande. So the true, she was 65 years old.
Oh my God.
Got on a bus, walked. I have no idea what she did in 1975. And she got to family in San Francisco. And she, from there, as an illegal immigrant, found her ways to learn about community and helping the Latino community, became some sort of activist. I don't know, but she ended up getting her green card.
Okay.
Asylum, did this, later in her years. And because of her, she was able to ask for my mother and my siblings to come to the United States with the green card, right? And so we waited 10 years.
Oh my God, yeah.
From 1983 to 93. That was the process. And I can't believe that happened. This is no internet, nothing. And one day, my mother goes we're moving to the United States. And I was just so excited. The American dream was I didn't even know it was called the American dream, but it was in me, Mom, we're going to go, we're going to work, we're going to do this together, we're going to build a home. And I was so fired up, 17 years old. And first thing we did was I always tell the story, I cleaned offices, I was vacuuming, I was coming at night with my mother. But that was my story. I always say that. And then my mom on the podcast goes, you only did it once.
Okay.
I'm just okay. I can't edit it now. This is just ruined. It's out there now. So, but I did it. I did it once.
You did it once.
Worked at McDonald's, worked at a grocery store, Albertsons.
And then your dad somehow got you access to an IBM computer.
That was early on. There was a 7th grade time when I was in LA. I visited, and he got this computer. He would buy stolen stuff. We don't know where these things come from.
Okay.
Kind of. Right. We don't ask questions. Just don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. But everybody's looking for a deal, right? And so you get this thing, and so she's like, I bought a computer. It's in the garage. No idea what it was. My only connection to it looks like a typewriter. That became a little bit my obsession. I don't know why. I just loved it, even though I didn't do much with it, but just kind of like fell in love with it. I just love the idea of doing things more efficiently.
So that exposure to this early IBM computer kind of sets you on this journey to fall in love with technology and kind of pursue a career in tech. And I always, like, we're both parents, and I always think about my role as like a chief possibility officer or chief exposure officer for my kids. How do you make sure or ensure that your kids are kind of on the forefront of AI and technology in general, but AI specifically?
My kids are older now, right? So I just graduated this past week, and my youngest out of high school.
Oh my God!
Right, and so he's going to do CS. Actually,
You're
all three of my kids are CS. Yeah,
yeah. How did you do that? I am not able to get my kids. Maybe my son. There's hope. My daughter's not she's not into tech.
All three did it. I don't know what they're going to do, right? Everything is changing. I don't know what their real passions is, but I'm glad. I think it goes back to your question, right? Of like, how do we expose them to things? And I'm biased, right? I think having CS under your belt, it's like the ultimate superpower, right? It's like, it just teaches you that we can do anything.
Right.
That's the feeling.
You can use technology as a tool to do anything.
We can build anything. Right. And so it's like, especially now, in a distributed on an online world, and especially with LLMs, it's the ultimate superpower. I mean, I know everybody's excited because they can go to Lovable, they can go to Replit, and like, I can build an app.
Right.
But really understanding how it works and just understanding that you're responsible for building it from and you can, if it breaks, you can go and fix it, right? And just demystify that, but have enough ability to do that, I think is the most. So I'm really happy and excited that they're doing that. But they might end up choosing different paths, different combinations, and I'm encouraging. That's kind of been my shift now, to be like, my daughter makes CS with design.
Awesome.
My second son is pure CS, probably AI, obviously, right? And then my youngest is the most creative. He's a painter. He's a drawer.
Oh, cool.
He's sports. He likes physics, kind of. So I'm encouraging him, being like, mix it with whatever else.
Yeah, I like this idea of combining kind of a computer science degree with something that you're really passionate about to enable you to bring that technology to. Okay, so before we move on to kind of your entrepreneurial journey, do you think the American dream is dead?
Today is alive, right? I think it's alive. I think we're going to need it more and more. Like, I like to think about it today. I can't think and worry about things that are going. I can't think negatively, but this is what's going to happen to the United States. I don't. I have to. I am worried in general about society as a whole. Like, there's different movements across governments in Latin America, many different changes that are going around the world. I think people are just tired, right? I think people want answers. People want solutions. I think what we need is more like, people want to fix things.
Yeah, hope and solutions.
And there is a lot of hope, I think, that there should be. But I think the dream is alive. Our culture is of immigrants, of entrepreneurs, of rule breakers. Yeah. We take high agency people that have ambition and aspiration, and they don't take no for an answer. And so that creates room.
Right.
Might not be equal, but there's still more room here than there is anywhere in the world.
Elias worked at IBM for years as a software engineer, but he wanted to do more. He first co-founded a company called Performable, which he sold to HubSpot. He then eventually co-founded Drift, which helps companies better service customers through more direct and engaging conversations. Mind you, he founded this company before the Gen AI explosion. And after nearly a decade, in 2021, he sold the company to Vista Equity for $1.2 billion. I wanted to know why he decided to sell, and why, in spite of such a successful exit, he still wanted to start a new company.
2008, I quit IBM to join David Cancel. I want to be in the startup world because after 10 years at IBM, I'm like tied up in there. I'm going crazy. It doesn't work for me.
Like, nothing's getting done.
Nothing's getting done. Nobody cares. I think that to me is the most apathy just kills me, right? I only want to be with people that care. And so I go into the startup world and it's like working with David and it's like intensity all the way, right? It's like, so we did a company called Lookery. Then we started another company called Performable. We sell that to HubSpot. 3 years at HubSpot, we take HubSpot public, $1 billion company.
Yeah.
And once you do that, it just felt too easy. So we're like,
we can do this again. Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. It's like everything. I mean, in retrospect, one of my biggest advice that I would give to people would be like, nothing is as hard as you think it is. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not as hard as you think. It's like, I think when people just like block themselves, they become their own obstacle.
Self-limiting. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so like, and I'm not going to discount how much luck has to do in my life, but we did that, and then we came out and we said, how hard could it be if we did this with HubSpot? We grew it from 35 million in revenue to 135 in 3 years. What can we do this again? And then you start breaking down like, okay, how many customers to get to 100 million in revenue, depending on what they pay, right? It's like 83,000 MRR, right? And so that gives you
monthly recurring revenue. Yeah.
So then we're like, how many $1,000 deals or how many $100 deals or how many $10,000 deals? You need 8 $10,000 deals a month.
Right.
Paying
doable.
You.
Right.
All this is doable, right? And so we just came out with that mentality, David and I, and it was really hard, right? I mean, it took us like 2 years of wandering, we call it, through the desert to figure out what would generate such a thing. And so that's the journey that I was adrift. We found something which was really AI, before AI, which was automating. People have these websites and they have no one there to respond. You fill out a form, contact us,
right?
And nobody responds.
Yeah.
And so we were like, what if an AI agent could like talk to you
in real time?
In real time, book a meeting, route you to the right sales rep, ask you the right questions. So we were doing that automated on the website.
Way before LLMs.
Way before the LLM, right? We were using BERT. We were using all the different models before the LLM came fully together, right? And we made a lot of mistakes. And so I kind of like took an opportunity where when the offer came, I engaged and I did not hesitate. A lot of people were like telling me, Elias, look how much money you're going to make for your $2 billion. And you could be that in a few months. Right. But that was September 21. January 22. The tech world collapsed.
Right.
And so everybody got left holding the bag. But we exited.
You were done.
At that time. And private equity is amazing because they buy you for cash.
Yeah.
And you're not waiting for sellouts and IPOs and stuff like that. So I call it sometimes like my biggest failure. Because like everything else, I think I exceeded the expectations. But my expectations were higher than where we ended up. And
even though you did very well financially, but like emotionally.
Yeah, emotionally I felt like it's like, I think as I'm getting older, like I want some sort of legacy now.
That drive to build a legacy eventually led to his current company, Agency AI. Right after ChatGPT came out, Elias spoke with a mentor about what to do next. He was financially secure after selling his company, but his mentor thought Elias still had one more company in him. His new company offers a way for businesses to leverage AI tools to create a better customer experience. As for what that looks like on the ground, Elias says it's constantly evolving. There are so many different directions AI can take you, and it's not always easy to cut out the noise.
As long as there are businesses around, we're going to have to deliver experience.
Yeah,
and that's what I want to solve. Right? That's what I want to solve for. That's what I want to build. I have no boundaries. I have no rules. It's the customer experience, right?
Well, I remember when we were together at the Fortune Brainstorm AI conference, you pulled up Agency. And I guess Agency is there to support you, even as a CEO of a company, to like track who are the customers you're talking to, what are their needs. Like it's not like that. That struck me in that conversation. It was like a one-stop shop for all things customer related. Is that kind of the vision?
Yeah, it's we have to build companies with less people now than we ever did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm living that, right? I mean, like we can't. I made a promise, and I said to Sequoia when we did the seed round that I was going to get to $1 billion in revenue with no more than 100 people.
How many people are at the company today?
Like 15?
15, yeah.
Yeah. And that
What's
changes.
the breakdown of that team, by the way?
Let's say 12 engineers and 3 non-engineers.
Interesting. Okay. And then a lot of AI, I assume.
And a lot of AI.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never seen code written so fast ever in my life, right? And it's like, and people are asking me like, if you have 10 engineers and without AI, they can do X. But if you have AI, those can do 10X. So do you go to one engineer because you can do the same? Do you keep the 10?
Right.
Or do you hire another 10?
Right.
Which one is it?
Which one is it? Which path are you on? I mean,
I want to go faster.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll hire another 10.
10.
And do twice as much as the other 10 with AI, right? And do more AI. And so you got to start things earlier, and you have to try them out, and you have to build more, and you have to experiment in parallel multiple times and faster, because the world is changing. You can completely disappear, and right now is the most chaotic moment with AI.
Yeah.
If you can get there before, that might give you a huge advantage.
Yeah. So we love on this show to take our listeners behind the scenes and kind of try to unpack a little bit, like, how do you build AI products? So I want to go there next. Like, how do you train these AI agents? What data do you use? Do you do you get access to customer data? Like, take us behind the scenes of it.
So what happens right now is that I think civilization has been changing to be more and more comfortable in recording and capturing the information. But the reality is that we make zero use
of that data. Yeah.
Right? We've been the most that we keep track is money, right? And maybe page visits to your product.
Or we track these datas in silos, right?
Yeah, but we just track very basic quantitative stuff. And so what people haven't realized is with the advent of LLMs, you can start analyzing both quantitative and qualitative data together, right? And so that's the first step. That's I'm spilling my alpha here, right? And it's like there's all this information that is sitting there, and people are making no action whatsoever. What I found out is that the LLMs in this world of customers are really already more powerful than we need, to do the work. It's the creativity of what problem we're solving, how do we deliver it, put it in the hands of the existing users, and then more importantly, how do we put it in the hands of the customer, of the end customer. And so I think that that's innovation, product development problem, and salesmanship, and be able to go and talk to customers and assure them that it's okay for them to give you their data.
Yeah.
Those are problems that have always been there. And people are becoming a little bit more accepting, but I do believe that humans are the biggest roadblock to our own success.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, don't want to adapt it.
Right. It's a cultural challenge, like the adoption of these new technologies.
AI is completely different. And when I see people respond to me, it's like, it's faster for me to use Gmail and just reply to my customers. It definitely baffles me that people don't see the potential and the opportunity to do more, right? And to do it better.
Yeah. Well, we were talking offline about the importance of context too, right? Like, when you've got all this data, how do you, that's what humans kind of do well. I mean, if you're really paying attention, you kind of can incorporate the context. And so how are you thinking about that? How do you bring context into the agent's answer, I guess?
I think that's like the secret sauce, I think. I think the application layer and solving problems is where it's at. It's not simple. It's going to be a tremendous battle with OpenAI. OpenAI, it's made it clear they're not sitting still.
Yeah.
And they're going to go into the enterprise. They're going to go into everything. But they cannot do everything. And they cannot serve every customer like if it's their first. And so it gives room for companies like mine to be like, I'm going to go listen to my customers. I'm going to solve their problems. Yeah. Because every business is going to have to transform themselves in order to survive. Yeah. And so I think that what matters is like knowing what questions to ask And
The
also
AI, to ask of the AI.
to ask of
Yeah.
AI. And then also there's a lot of lack of like, what's the context that you give to the AI?
Right.
You can't just
What
ask
background,
anything.
right?
It's
What
the background, is the data, is the communications with the customers, which customers, the tools, how to go and set it and tell it who you want the AI to be.
Yeah.
What is their role for that function, for that problem, for that question?
Do you think at all about like kind of the brand or the personality of the AI agent? That's kind of, I spent like 20 years of my life kind of building emotional intelligence into machines and thinking about that. Does that factor into how
Absolutely. I think that
are your AI agents nice?
they're a little like me.
Okay.
It's I would say not nice, but intense.
You're sometimes nice.
I'm sometimes nice, but they're direct.
Yeah.
But they're like, they want to solve the problem.
Okay.
Right? And so that's something that I think people don't realize. I guess I'm also spilling a little alpha here, right? David Holz said something about, he made Midjourney output images the way he liked.
Interesting. So he brought a bit, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of going to be shaped by the humans building the AI.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the context.
Right.
Right. And so he tweaked the style and the default settings of the images coming out of Midjourney to his taste.
Yeah.
When I heard him, I said, wow, that's a way to create a moat, right?
Yeah.
People use agency today, and everybody asks me, can you make sure that it learns the tone of this customer success manager, this sales rep, and how they speak and how they send that message? You know what my answer is?
What's your answer?
Do you really want to use the tone of every single person that works at your company? Do you think everybody is great?
Right.
Is that really what you want? And so people don't know what they're asking. This goes back to first principles.
Yeah.
What do I want?
Yeah.
I want one tone.
Right. That's consistent.
That is
That's
consistent
with the company's
with
brand.
the company.
Right.
And who is the brand of the company?
The founder?
The founder, right?
Yeah.
Somebody, right? So somebody has to be picked to say, we want to emulate this person. And that's what makes it unique, right? And so right now in agency, like, believe it or not, it's like, it's my tone in the emails.
Yeah.
It's the way I write my emails.
Interesting. Yeah.
And people, when our system starts sending emails to their customers on their behalf, they're always like, I like this email. I would send this email. And it's my 50 years of experience in business of what I'm saying, what I'm asking for, and blah, blah, blah. And so we're still back to the old marketing automation sequences or something, right?
Yeah.
And so it's my personality put into it.
Yeah.
Right. And people are like, I don't, when I type that in ChatGPT,
I don't get the same.
I don't get the same.
Right.
It's cringy. I can tell it's like AI, but this ones are not.
Yeah. Let's go back to like building this kind of an AI native company, right?
Yeah.
For folks who are listening on the show who are starting companies and they're thinking about how to bring AI and be AI first. Yeah. What's your advice? Like, what's one tool you use that's like really key? Do you go to AI first before you hire people? Like, give us some tips on how to build an AI first company.
Well, I think that one is that you have to hire people that no longer think of themselves as having only one role.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody should, it's like you have to have people, high agency people is what I look for, right? Mm-hmm. Because they have opinions, all the engineers, they have opinions on graphics, on website, on story, on pitches, right? We're all using our own product. Mm-hmm. And so everybody has to be able to give feedback. Everybody has to be willing to do more than one function and not just be like, this is not my job, right? And so, for example, like, hire a lawyer.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I have a lawyer on staff, right? Uh-huh. But she's like so open-minded and willing to learn. Mm-hmm. She was doing at Drift a lot of the security conversations. Mm-hmm. So she's been exposed to security for a while, and she's like, and I'm like, I don't have time for that. And so like, you're in charge of security. Mm-hmm. Imagine I have a lawyer that worries about data retention,
That's awesome.
data encryption, data sharing, privacy. So it's just something that you might not think, back to the combination of majors, right?
Yeah.
That it was going to be a great advantage, right?
Right.
So when you have somebody like that, right, that she's so high agency that she's like, I hate having you on the calls to answer security questions.
She'll just take care of it. Yeah.
I'll take care of this.
That's awesome.
So she's taking all my recordings of all my security calls that my CTO and I have had with customers.
Yeah.
Put all the recordings into she has a notebook LLM that she's done herself, just streamlining her process just to do one aspect of her job, right?
Yeah.
And we don't need to hire a security person.
Right.
So it's that's kind of like the mindset. The mindset is that we can do anything.
Yeah.
And we don't need a large team to do so.
Yeah. So let's talk about what that means for jobs. And I want to make it real. So both of us have kids that are graduating.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter just graduated college, and she's, one of the theses around AI in particular is that the early job, the what do you call them? Entry level jobs are going to go away or going to be really reduced. How do you see that world? What's your advice for your daughter?
It goes back to what I was saying, that it's about having agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I ask most for my children is that they want to get up and do something.
Mm-hmm.
I
be motivated to do.
I see a lot of people at all ages not having the energy to do something. I don't have a path because I think all paths are being broken down to pieces.
Yeah.
There's no more I'm going to be at this firm and I'm going to go take this step and this promotion and this, that. Yeah. And I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I kind of and they're kind of like me, my kids, most of them, right? They're different slightly. My daughter especially, she has to be her own boss.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I've taught them that they should have the freedom. I'm not putting a number or a goal or a size in their mind. Just want them to do something
that they're passionate about and committed to.
I don't know about the passion. Passion is a lot of bullshit too. It takes time to be passionate, right? You can't just be passionate early on.
Right.
When you do something for 10 years, tell me if you're passionate, right?
Uh-huh.
But I just wanted to do something, to have initiative. If they want to get a job somewhere, fantastic, go get a job. If you want to do this, I think that's where it starts. I think people are going to be looking for this type of people. The one that have grit, that have high agency, the ones that want to go solve the problems. Because we have infinite problems in the world.
Right.
That's the bottom line. But if there's a path or a career or a title or a specific goal, I have no idea what's going to happen. Yeah. And I think it's going to be grim. I think is for those people that want an easy, it's kind of like college, right? People thought, okay, if I do college, if I do a better school, then I'm all set.
Right.
If I do an MBA, I'm all set.
Right.
That hasn't been true for a long time.
Yeah, it's getting disrupted even more.
It's an exciting world, but it's for people that want to take action.
Right. Yeah.
That's what you need to teach your kids. That's why I ask myself, how do we teach people
to have agency?
To have
high agency. I love it.
That's really what it's about.
I love that. It's a great way to end our conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Problem.
This was great. One of my key takeaways from this conversation is that yes, AI can help us accomplish more with fewer resources. But the mindset behind how we use it is just as important. Technology still depends on our ideas, creativity, and direction. Those who harness AI and combine it with what they already do well are the ones most likely to thrive. What do you think? Leave us a voicemail at 601-633-2424. We love hearing from you, so keep calling in.